Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Okay, so be honest, have you ever felt that literal tightening in your chest, or maybe your mind just goes completely blank when you need to speak English? If so, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we are unpacking a really fantastic framework laid out by language trainer Shikha. We're going to walk through her proven 7-step roadmap to mastering English fluency, and we are going to do it without that overwhelming anxiety that usually tags along with language learning. All right, let's dive right in.
But hey, before we even look at the specific steps, we really need to ask ourselves a fundamental question. What does fluency actually mean? I want you to take a second and completely reconsider your expectations. You see, most people wrongly assume that being fluent means achieving this absolute grammatical perfection, like never dropping a syllable and literally never making a single mistake. But holding on to that expectation, yeah, that's exactly what is keeping you frozen.
Das actually redefines fluency for us in a completely liberating way. She says fluency is not being perfect, but feeling at ease while speaking the language and communicating without hindrance. That is such a huge shift in perspective, right? English is basically a global bridge, bringing the world together. So if you can communicate your ideas easily and without hindrance, guess what? You're fluent. Redefining it this way totally relieves that immense, heavy pressure that holds so many non-native speakers back from ever even opening their mouths.
So to make Daz's original 7 steps super easy to digest, we've organized them into a highly actionable 5-part plan. Phase 1, language input. Phase 2, language output. Phase 3, the mindset shift. Phase 4, seeking guidance. And rounding it all out, the secret ingredient, practice. Let's jump into the first one. Starting right at the top, Phase 1, language input. Das uses this brilliant analogy here. Think about how babies learn to speak. I mean, they aren't sitting there studying heavy grammar textbooks. First, they just listen to the people around them and try to catch the sounds. Step 2, they start merging those sounds to create words. And Step 3, they finally start framing sentences using those new words. We have to follow this exact same natural progression. It's like filling up a well. You must listen and absorb the language in your environment before you can ever expect to produce it yourself. Okay, so how do we actually do this in our everyday lives? Well, here is your highly actionable language input toolkit. For listening, it's super simple. Pull up Spotify and find English podcasts or audiobooks. You literally only need to dedicate 15 minutes a day to create wonders. Just make sure the content matches your current understanding level. Now for reading, Daz highly recommends making it a bedtime habit. If you're looking for a good starting point, she suggests books by Sudha Murthy. Why? Because her writing style is simple, incredibly creative, and completely accessible. Titles like Dollar Bahu or Grandma's Bag of Stories are just perfect for organically building up your vocabulary while you enjoy a really great story. Moving right along to Phase 2, language output. Now you really got to watch out for what we call the wallflower syndrome. Des points out that there are folks who are actually excellent at reading and understanding English, but the second it's time to speak, they become total wallflowers. Your own fear is absolutely your biggest enemy here. If you're sitting around waiting for that magical day when your grammar is 100% perfect before you start speaking, well, I hate to break it to you, but you are guaranteeing that day will never arrive. You have to be willing to make mistakes and speak in broken sentences right at the beginning. Do not let fear keep you quiet. To break you out of that wallflower shell, grab your language output toolkit. First off, you must speak English every single day. If you don't have a practice partner, no problem. Speak in front of a mirror. Actually, scratch that. An even better way is to just record a quick video of yourself on your phone. You can also totally leverage the digital age. Apps like Duolingo or HelloTalk are fantastic for this. And on the writing side, writing basically locks the knowledge right into your brain. Start writing a really small daily summary of what you read, just using your own words. When you stumble on a new word, look up its meaning and actively frame a few sentences with it. Doing both speaking and writing is a real game changer.
Which brings us to Phase 3, the mindset shift.
This one is huge. Almost every single language learner falls into this terribly inefficient trap. You think of an idea in your mother tongue, you try to translate it in your head, and the result? Broken English. Why does that happen? Because the way sentences are framed differs wildly between your mother tongue and English. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. The efficient habit is to take a breath, pause, and deliberately think the thought directly in English. When you start thinking in English, what actually comes out of your mouth will automatically start being correct. Sure, it takes practice, but it completely eliminates that awful translation lag. Okay, this next part of the mindset shift is a little surprising, but honestly, it is incredibly effective. You've got to pretend. Das advises us to literally pretend to be someone we idolize. Pick someone whose English speaking style you really admire, maybe it's an actor, a public speaker, or even just a colleague, and completely mimic how they communicate. Having an idol gives you this highly practical, real-world model to focus your learning on. You're basically trying on their confidence and their cadence until it naturally becomes your own.
All right, let's look at phase 4, seeking guidance.
Look, sometimes you just hit a wall and don't know where to start, and that is exactly what a mentor is for. A mentor does all the heavy lifting when it comes to structure. They show you the correct roadmap, they figure out what your actual current level is, and most importantly, they give you highly targeted feedback on your errors. Because, let's face it, you can't always course correct on your own if you don't even hear your own mistakes. A mentor gives you the proper instructions to fix those errors so you can confidently keep moving forward step by step.
And finally, we hit the secret ingredient, practice.
There's this myth floating around that just showing up to a 1-hour class with a mentor is going to somehow magically make you fluent. It's a nice thought, but honestly, no way. The harsh reality is that absolutely nothing replaces your own daily practice. A mentor can point you in the right direction, for sure. But the consistency, the dedication, and that internal motivation, that has to come from you. You have to be willing to put in the daily, relentless practice on your own time if you actually want to see results.
Which brings us to a wonderfully empowering quote from Shikha that really hits the nail on the head. Speaking English is not rocket science. It just needs practice, practice, and more practice. I mean, that is the entire central thesis of our explainer today. If you are determined to achieve fluency and you actually commit to the work, you will definitely get there. It's not some rare genetic gift. It is simply a matter of applied effort.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to chew on. Which of these 7 steps will you put into practice today to finally feel at ease speaking English? Are you going to fire up Spotify for 15 minutes? Will you talk to the mirror for 5 minutes? Or maybe you'll start practicing thinking directly in English right now. Whatever you do, please don't wait for that mythical day of perfect grammar. Pick one step, take immediate action, and start your journey toward true fluency today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy learning!